Good morning, America. Live from northern New England, coastal southern Maine, North Portland, Maine, right off the Presumpscot River Trail System, next to Davis Farm Road and Riverside Street. Right behind us is Interstate 95. Yes, northern New England, coastal southern Maine, the big city of Portland, Maine, and the big hills of North Portland, Maine. Now, this is Frank Margell. It's about 11:30 a.m. in the morning on this wild Wednesday, December 7th. I'd like to take a quick moment and remind you all, if you don't know this already or you haven't heard, today is Pearl Harbor Day. So I would like to take a brief moment and recognize all those who serve this great country, the one true free United States of America. Thank you to all those who serve. And God bless you. Well, that probably wasn't a whole minute, but thank you once again for your service. This is a freelance video, and you will find it at Frank Margell at YouTube.com. I post on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. I call it the Big Four. I'm not affiliated with any business or enterprise, and these are my comments and views. This is also a WYSIWYG. That is, what you see is what you get. And if I strike a chord with you today, or you just want to say hi, please send me an upbeat comment. And thank you for all the shares. Again, it's Frank Margell at YouTube.com. Thank you so much for all the comments and shares, and I do respond to your comments from time to time. Well, let's take a look at the roaming hills of North Portland, Maine, and we'll take a look around here. I'm using my tripod again today. When I first started this hobby of mine, I used to just get out and walk about, and I then moved up to a tripod, and I found that it's much more stable than just walking around with my very awesome but inexpensive camera. I'm gonna make a little adjustment here, and so bear with me, and we're gonna zoom in on that tower over there. Let me see if I can make an adjustment here. Bear with me for a minute now. Let's see, we'll just maybe pick that up a little bit, and then let's see if we can, yeah. Let's see, we'll zoom in here. Oh, well, geez. Let's go a little higher. Yeah. Try to get to the top of it. Yeah. Looks like a crow's nest up there, doesn't it? I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Let's focus on that for a minute. What on earth am I doing out here at the Presumpscot Trail? Other than getting a little bit of exercise and spending a moment with you. Once again, it's nice to be out and about with you here in northern New England, coastal southern Maine, North Portland, Maine. Across from Interstate 295, and right over there is one of the communication towers that you'll find throughout Maine. Yeah, and right behind that communication tower is Davis Farm Road, and that is one of the regional offices for Fairpoint Communications. And I'm not affiliated with Fairpoint Communications or any other business that you might see in the video today. Once again, I'm out here in the public domain, but I want to get into a little commentary regarding what's going on with telecommunications here in northern New England, coastal southern Maine. I want to give you a couple bits of information, and you can always check your facts. Go right ahead and check your facts when I'm out here videoing, because these are just my opinions and views. But back in 1982, there was a company, Ma Bell, AT&T, and that was the beginning of the breakup of Ma Bell in 1982. And what happened in 1984, the Department of Justice actually divested and decided to break up AT&T. Go ahead and check your facts, but as a result of the Department of Justice, AT&T needed to break up. And there's several ways you can research that information, but that was, it started in 1982 and it ended in 1984. Well, what has taken place in Maine with telecommunications since that happened? Well, let's jump to 2008, and let's discuss a little bit about what is going on recently with telecommunications here in Maine. Okay, March 2008, Fairpoint Communications became the 8th largest telephone company in the United States, and they bought the Verizon telephone system. What was remaining of the infrastructure, they bought it from Verizon. And then in October of 2009, so 2008, Fairpoint comes to Maine and takes over the phone system. And then in October of 2009, after Fairpoint bought Verizon, not all of Verizon, but the infrastructure, the phone system up here, 2009, Fairpoint then files for bankruptcy. Go ahead and check your facts on that. All right, so then let's go from 2008, 2009 to January of 2011. Fairpoint emerges from bankruptcy protection and, well, is back in business and trading as a stock, as a public company. Okay, so January 2011, Fairpoint emerges from bankruptcy protection. In October of 2011, Fairpoint decides to sue Verizon for billions in a lawsuit for bad faith transfer of Verizon's assets. What Verizon apparently left Fairpoint, according to Fairpoint, was a bad deal and a bad way of running the phones here in Maine. And Fairpoint was claiming that because they entered into a bad deal with Verizon, that they were fraudulently involved in this. So it's time to get Verizon to pony up for a couple $2 billion, because Fairpoint can't just make it on the infrastructure that Verizon sold to them. So they go ahead and they sue. Fairpoint sues Verizon. And then, so that was 2011. So let's go to 2014. Verizon settles the multi-billion-dollar lawsuit with Fairpoint for $95 million. Well, yeah, that's some big business. Maine infrastructure during this time has been in need of upgrade, high-speed internet, better telecommunications, and this is just part of the Fairpoint story that has been going on for about 10 years anyway. Go ahead and check your facts. Nonetheless, in 2014, the Maine Public Utilities Commission opened an investigation into Fairpoint for failure to meet quality standards for their third quarter and fourth quarter, in 2014. And I have some, I have some information that I'd like to read to you. And I'd like to quote from this information. This is actual factual information that I was able to retrieve from the internet, because, you know, I'm a internet genius, right? Not really, but here we go. This is page 2 of the 2015 annual report that you can find online. You can Google it at Maine Public Utilities Commission. And it's page 2, and I'm going to read under telecommunications the second paragraph. So bear with me. Quote, Fairpoint filed a request for an increase in its rates for provider of last resort. Paragraph, parentheses, POLR, parentheses, telephone service, and the commission approved a $2.30 per customer per month increase for residential POLR service and $2.25 per customer per month increase for business POLR service. In addition, the commission opened an investigation into Fairpoint's failure to meet certain service quality index benchmarks related to its POLR service during the third and fourth quarters of 2014. And, you know, that's a really bunch of wording, and it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. However, I was able to figure out what's going on here is that while Fairpoint is battling it out with Verizon, the union, customers, it's also relying on the Maine Public Utilities Commission to subsidize its provider of last resort telephone service. So what is POLR? And that is significant. So I have a little definition of what provider of last resort becomes. When somebody like Verizon leaves a retail provider, the Maine Public Utilities Commission designates a provider of last resort, and that happens to be Fairpoint. Recently, in the news, we've heard that the Maine Public Utilities Commission is now considering a $500,000 fine for the Fairpoint, the provider of last resort, not meeting quality standards. While this is all taking place, Fairpoint has been experiencing more union strikes, more customer complaints than you can shake a stick at, and another company offering to buy Fairpoint for $1.5 billion. This hasn't been in the media, it's in the news. You can check your facts. You can do a Google search on this. There is plenty. It's on public radio. It's a big story. However, what's closer to heart for those in Maine, and this is just my humble opinion, go ahead and check your facts, is that Maine is in need of a modern infrastructure. And there's plenty of land up here. There's plenty of forest. There's plenty of ways to deregulate and provide for a better economy. But one of the most necessary items on the agenda before the legislator and the governor, in my humble opinion, should be infrastructure, internet, telecommunication infrastructure. So Fairpoint is now rumored to be up for sale at the price of $1.5 billion, and the scuttlebutt or the rumor is that Illinois-based Consolidated Communications will be buying their stock. And since this has been put out in the media, the price of Fairpoint stock has fluctuated and has gone up in value, but go ahead and check your facts. I'm not affiliated with the SEC or the, the stock market, so don't base a stock buy on this report. But Fairpoint's gone up, and Consolidated Communications has gone down in value. But hey, you know, that's from one day to the next. Always check your facts. Is the remaining infrastructure that Fairpoint took over from Verizon and now up for grabs as far as Consolidated Communications is concerned, is it still a heap, a pile of useless wires and gadgetry? Or is this company, the new company, Consolidated Communications, going to do a better job? So what I'm hearing in the news and on reports, and you can find this on the web as well, is that Consolidated Communications seems to be rumored by the union that services our infrastructure, our telecommunications infrastructure, and is affiliated also with Fairpoint. They're all in favor of Consolidated Communications buying Fairpoint. And they think that they're going to get a better deal. But go ahead and check your facts on that as well. I'm really cautious, and I believe that if you look back at the history, or if you're in Maine, you don't need to be a genius to look at this. It has been a disaster up here for those seeking telecommunications. And we're just starting to get out of the woods, but it has been lawsuits and failures. The Maine Public Utilities Commission, regulators, large telecom companies, all of this has left Maine still primarily in the woods and with a lot of promises that aren't delivered. And now we have another communication giant moving in and promising the same old song and dance, but with a new shine. We'll see. You can send me a comment at frankmargell@youtube.com. We're talking telecommunications and infrastructure in Maine, and how necessary and important it is for Maine to really get up to speed on such a basic need and necessity without all of this lawsuit action, without all of this regulatory committees, fines, $500,000 fines, this investigation, that. What happened to Ma Bell? Well, Ma Bell is gone. You know, look, you have a nice Maine day here. It's Wednesday, December 7th. Wild Wednesday, December 7th, about right just before noontime in northern New England, coastal southern Maine, North Portland on the Presumpscot River Trail, talking infrastructure and what is Maine to do. Let's hope that the Consolidated Communications situation improves the infrastructure, but we're just going to have to wait and see. You have a great Maine day. This is Frank Margell. And no matter where you are in the free world, I will keep you posted. Take care. I'll drop the cam here and show you something other than a communication tower. Show you the hills before we go. You have a great Maine day, and go ahead and send me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. You take care. This is Frank out.